So this week's Parsha is Parsha Korach. And it's very interesting. We sometimes look at what's going on in history. We look at through the eyes of the generation that we find ourselves in. And it creates problems, because sometimes what we see as being appropriate for this generation, they didn't do it that way in the past. And sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, they owned slaves. So if they'd been living in today's generation and they owned slaves, they wouldn't have been the father of the country. But I was thinking about in terms of Korach, if you hear Korach getting up there and saying his platform, if he was going to they're voting for who should be appointed. Korach's message resonates a lot with 21st century than Moshe's message. What's Korach saying? Korach saying is Kulanu Kadoshim, we're all holy. We all were at Matan Torah. We all had the revelation. Lamas Nisnasu, why should you elevate yourself? You take yourself, you take Aaron, you take your cousin. It's nepotism. We're all equals. One man, one vote. That's, Korach comes up with a great idea. Let's make a rotation. This month he'll be the Kohen Gadol. That's what Rashi says. Let's rotate. Give everyone a chance. Korach's message resonates with what we learn, and Moshe says no. There has to be a Kohen Gadol. There has to be there's a Melech. There's different positions, and not everybody can do what everybody else is doing. If you ask, at simple level, who is the Baal Machlokus? Korach, it's lo Korach Kadaso. Don't be like Korach and his henchmen. Exactly, according to, there's different opinions of what the 613 mitzvot are. The Gemara tells us that 613 mitzvot in the Torah. It doesn't tell us what they are. So the different Rishonim have lists. The Bahag, the Smag, the Rambam, the Ramban, they all have different lists of what the Sefer Chinuch. So some count as one of a person is a Baal Machlokus, someone who just always gets into fights. He's like, that's Lo Korach Ka'adasa. You're violating a Lo Saseh in the Torah, Lo Korach Ka'adasa. Who's the Baal Machlokus over here? Korach wants kumbaya, one man, one vote. Everybody gets a chance. Let Moshe, no, it can't be that way. Moshe seems to be the one who's fueling the Machlokas, if it's simple. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that a machlokus that's l'shem shamayim is sofa liskayim. So machlokus, it's done for the sake of heaven. It's enduring. It will last forever, and that's like Hillel and Shammai. Hillel and Shammai, why is it good for machlokus to last forever? You're so anti-machlokus, Maybe they want a machlokus that should last forever. And what does it mean it's l'shem shamayim? I have yet to come across a person that's fighting that doesn't think that what he's doing is l'shem shamayim. Everyone's l'shem shamayim, right? It's mixed up, right?
You've learned from the both sides.
What does that mean? It's l'shem shamayim. Machlokus l'shem shamayim. If I'm doing it for the principle, I'm doing it for the principle of the matter. The second part of the Mishnah, it's a machlokas shalom. If it's not l'shem shamayim, then it's not going to be miskayim. And what's the example of it? So if I would be writing the Mishnah, on the one hand, l'shem shamayim, who are the two litigants? You have Shammai and you have Hillel, right? If it's Shalol L'Shem Shamayim, so Korach, who's on the other side?
Moshe.
Should say Korach, but that's not what the Mishnah says. What does the Mishnah say? It's Korach v'adaso. Korach and his henchmen. It should say Korach and Moshe. Why does it say Korach v'adaso?
Because they have to go with the family.
Yeah, but who's it with?
Moshe
You want to say what's that?
Moshe wasn't fighting.
But that was dispute. He was fighting with them. Moshe was arguing his position. They were arguing Moshe saying his position. They're saying their position. So if you say Shammai and Hillel is the one side that's l'shem Shamayim, so then the other side say the other side. Who should be? It should be Korach and Moshe. Korach v'Adaso and Moshe. Why is it Korach v'Adaso? Right. Korach says, it gives examples because it's connected to tzitzis. This was right away last week. So, if the tzitzit is all tchelis, right? In fact, there's a modern expression in Hebrew. Someone thinks himself that he's a tilit shekulot tchelet, right? What does it mean? Someone who thinks he's that. What does that mean today? That he's like perfect. There's nothing wrong with him, right? This expression comes from it. If it's all got tchelis, the whole beged says, why do you need the strings? Or he says, if you have a house that's full of sfarim, so why do you need a mezuzah? Right? That's the Gemara gives, as it tells us that was his argument. He's saying, why are you not making everything the same? Why do you need to make things different? Why do you have to have the tzitzit if you got the beged that's full of tchelet? If the whole house is sfarim, you have to also have a mezuzah on the out. He's basically saying is that we could be unified, everybody being equal, without having people being focusing on being exclusive or selective or different. That's Korach's argument, which again, according to Day, that would be, no one's more important. Black lives matter. And it's nothing. There's no one should be held any different than anyone. That's today the philosophy today. We're so equal that you can be a woman if you're a man, you can be a man if you're a woman. It's complete equality today. So Korach's message is the message that seems to resonate, not Moshe's. All right, so let's just go over. So the question we're asking again is that why is Korach considered to be a Baal Machlokas? What he seems to be trying to bring is democracy, unity. Moshe seems to be the one who's creating separatist type action, and we're trying to understand the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that says Machlokas l'shem Shamayim is Hillel and Shammai. So we want to know why is it Sofas Kaim? Why do we want there to be Machlokas? And the Machlokas that is not l'shem Shamayim, which is Sofas Batel, which will be cancelled or nullified, is the position of Korach ve'Adaso. Korach and his henchmen shouldn't say it. Should say Korach and Moshe. Korach ve'Adaso. Korach ve'Adaso and Moshe. I think there's a very important message here, and I think it has really tremendous implications on ourselves and our children. The primary source we have today of Torah Shebaal Peh is the Gemara. Originally, Torah Shebaal Peh was done father to son, Rabbi to Talmud. It was done Baal Peh. It's actually, there is a prohibition that the ksav should not be done Baal Peh. There are people that are makbid not to say psukim by heart. That's something that's written should stay in writing, and that which is supposed to be Baal Peh should not be written. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rebbe, saw that people were forgetting, and the lack of knowledge, the forgetfulness was creating machlokas as to what the Masorah was. So therefore, he committed to writing the Mishnah. Right? Whether he actually wrote it, redacted it, put it into question exactly how it worked. That itself ended up not being enough because the interpretation of the Mishnah was subject to so much machlokas. So they wrote Talmud Yerushalmi. In Eretz Yisrael, there was a Talmud Yerushalmi, and a generation later, they wrote the Talmud Bavli. Today we have the Talmud Bavli. If you open up the Gemara, every page, every 3 lines is a machlokus. Should have happened, somebody going back, let's just cut everything out and just give me the bottom line. That's really what the Rabbeinu, the Elfasi, the Rif, when they passed in the Halacha, the Rif, the Rosh, the Rambam, they went through the Gemaras, took out the machlokas, and gave us the bottom line. Which ended up also being machlokas on the bottom line too. But it's interesting. But why is the Gemara? Why do we need to see machlokas in the Gemara? So machlokas in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Right? Chazal tell us, parts of feim shavet, just as man created every person, every human being with a different face. People look different. So to deoseim, their perspectives are different. People are different. We're not cookie cutter. Everybody has a different perspective. Machlokus is just a result of people offering their perspectives. Now, what's the right perspective? There's never necessarily that there's a right or a wrong perspective. It might be in any different situation. This will be the right perspective. Maybe that will be the right perspective. For example, the Zohar tells us that when Mashiach comes, the halacha is going to switch to be like Beis Shammai. For this world until the coming of Mashiach, Beis Hillel is the right perspective, whatever Beis Hillel represents. L'Asid Lavo, Beis Shammai might be, but it's not. One is not right, one is not wrong, because it is a perspective that is the result of the total package of a human being's character and his confusing with his knowledge, and you come out. It's a valid perspective. Machlokas itself is healthy. Why is machlokas healthy? Because if nobody challenged my perspective, then it would not allow me to hone and to get my perspective to be as true as it can be. When you learn in the yeshiva, you're learning a sitting Gemara, you're looking at people like fighting each other. It's very healthy because you're saying svaras, you're saying logical positions that I'm taking. If no one challenges my logical position, how do I know it's correct? What happens is, I say something, he says, well, that doesn't seem to be right because of this. I have to tweak it a little bit. Then he says something, then I said that, and he tweaks his position a little bit. And between the two positions, my perspective becomes clear, and his perspective becomes clear. And it doesn't mean mine's wrong. We offer different perspectives. There are different perspectives that can be had that at different times might be, this is the better perspective to go with now, and that will be the better perspective to go with then. We need to see, machlokas is very important that it's recorded in the Gemara. It allows us to see perspective, and it shows us how we get to where we got to. Sometimes it comes out, there is a clarity that becomes everybody buys into the final answer because of everyone offered their perspectives, and we've been able to see that this one is the one that fits the best. But you want to see those perspectives. Say it a little differently. Unity. What is unity? Everybody is one, right? If everybody was exactly the same, right? That means I can do what you do what I do. You would never have unity. Why wouldn't you have unity? Because everybody's afraid that what he does can be replaced by someone else. I have no value in and of myself if I'm exactly the same as somebody else. Because what do I bring to the table?
No individuality.
No, I can't. There's nothing that I can do that somebody else can't replace. You can't have unity like that. 600,000 people in Klal Yisrael, each one can do exactly the same thing. it would never be ish echad b'leiv echad. The only way you could have ish echad b'leiv echad is if everybody understands their position. Everybody understands that what I offer, my perspective, my abilities, my talents, what I can do is uniquely mine. When it's uniquely mine, then I have a place. So what you're going to say is that in order to become one has to be comprised of many components that fit together like a puzzle. Right? The puzzle, if it all fits together, then it'll be one. It's like a symphony, a harmony. You have different instruments. It comes together as one. Right? But if everyone is doing exactly the same thing, then you have 600,000 individuals. You don't have one large unit. So really, what comes out if you take this a step further is that Korach is saying we're all equal. That's the biggest machlokus that can be, saying we're all equal. Because we're all equal, then nobody has a sense of being special. There's no individuality, there's no perspective being offered. Everybody is the same. He'll be the Kohen Gadol 1 week, he'll be the Kohen Gadol 1 week, there's nothing uniquely special about each individual. That's the ultimate machlokus that could happen. Nobody can get along in that circumstance. Nobody feels like they're offering anything special. Moshe is saying no. Everybody has their place. Yes, unfortunately, not everybody's born to be the Kohen Gadol. That's not the way it works. You know, the way Gemara says, everybody, you need to have a plumber, you need an electrician, you need to have, so some people are born with talents that make them one way, somebody, then he's going to be a doctor, but, in the United States, what killed, by the way, the college system in the United States, at least on the undergraduate level, is because they created the sense that everybody can do it. Everybody can do it, so the only way you can do that is you water down the level, because otherwise not everybody can do it. The whole high school system, the whole schooling system in the United States has gone to pot because of it. You go into Europe, you have trade schools. At a young age already, they determine, this guy's not going to be learning calculus. This guy cannot sit in a class for 8 hours a day. But you know what? He's great with his hands. He can create, he can build, he's creative, he's got artistic talents. Figure out what his abilities are and focus on developing and honing them. Don't make them all have to get the same college education or the same. It's much more difficult. On the master's level, and it's become specialties. That's where you get that's where the United States takes off. People come to the United States to get trained in the specialties. But on the high school and even the undergraduate level, United States was 142 in the world or something. I mean, it's because you can't. Not everybody can do the same thing. So the way we've done it is, just bring down the level. That's not creating, developing human beings in a way that they're going to feel good about themselves, because you're making me have to do something that's not my ability and not my predisposition and not my talent in terms of what I need to be doing. So Korach is machlokus. Korach is bad machlokus, because I don't have a sense of being. All right? I don't have value. I don't have any sense of who I am. You know what? What ends up happening is Korach's position. Who fights? What happens with everybody's trying to do the same thing? Who ends up fighting? You see that very often, that you have two positions in a fight. You have one position, the other position, and the other position is not a healthy position. They start fighting amongst themselves. They start among themselves. You have a breakaway shul, you have a breakaway school. It doesn't take much. Then you have a second breakaway and a third breakaway and a fourth breakaway. Doesn't take much, because if it's not done for the right reason, they become finance. So when the Chaz says shelo l'shem shamayim, who are the litigants there? It's Korach ve'adaso. That is the machlokas. The machlokas is Korach ve'adaso. It's not Moshe. Moshe is not involved. He's not the Baal machlokas there. The machlokas that's the Shem Shamayim makes it among themselves. It's going to implode among themselves. They're going to fight. That's who's going to fight. why this is so important for us to understand. It's just not a philosophical thing. I think that it comes very, very important. We've all said in terms of the educational system, which we have what we have. We have to try more individualize and try lead, cater towards schools in terms of what developing the kids' talents. But it's our own children. In our own children, one of the biggest mistakes parents make. Why can't you be like your brother? Because he's not like his brother. And if you try and make him be like his brother, that's going to destroy him. Our job as parents is to identify why he's not like his brother. And the only way we can build him up and build her up is to identify where their strengths lie. Now, there are certain things that are universal. Midos. Should be like your brother. This person to be respectful. There are not just manners. I'm talking about actual real midos, sensitivities that we can learn. And that, by the way, can be taught even if somebody's not predisposed to do that. That's the challenge we have. Some people are just charitable by nature. Some people are not. Now, because I'm not charitable by nature, doesn't give me the reason not to be charitable. That means I have to work on myself to be charitable. And having a role model of you should be charitable like that person, that's a healthy thing to do. Why can't you get an A in calculus like your brother? That's not a fair thing to say. Your brother is able to sit and learn 8 hours a day, and not everybody's cut out to do that. But that's our job, to figure out what they need to have. And the problem is, when we try and make them be like someone else, A, they're not going to be able to be like them. But B, they also lose the fact that they're not going to be them. They're not going to develop who they are themselves. It's a problem with competition in general. The whole concept of competition, having competitions, who can learn the most Mishnayos, who can learn the most Psukim, you're dealing with apples and oranges, and you're making everyone try to be an apple. Create benchmarks within each individual and reward them for what they themselves are able to accomplish. That's healthy. I took away when I started here the valedictorian and salutatorian concept here in the school. I don't think that's healthy for sure not at this age. It's going against the whole concept. They have to be challenged and forced. It's not healthy. 3/4 of the class are not able to be recognized for being the valedictorian. And if we've created that's a standard of success, then what does it make everybody else? It's not that you have to have citizenship awards, Midos awards. People have to be celebrated for what their capacity is, their abilities are, and also for what they can able to overcome in areas that a person can overcome them. But saying Kulanu Kadoshim, we're all equal, that's the ultimate destruction. That is the ultimate. It's an inbred machlokas that nobody eventually will be able to get along. We are diverse. We are our perspective. It's healthy. It's healthy to have a diverse perspective. I said that the Melech is not allowed to be on the Sanhedrin. The Melech is not allowed to be on the Sanhedrin, and the head of the Sanhedrin is not allowed to go first when he gives his opinion. For the same reason. Because people have to be comfortable to be able to say what their perspective is. This is my position. I think this is, if it's going to be influenced or pressured by something else, they're not allowed to go first. You can't have the Melech, because no one's going to want to argue with the Melech. I used it to answer a question. I said that Moshe Rabbeinu is considered to be a Melech. We learned a couple of weeks ago that they used to blow a shofar for the king. So Moshe is considered to be like a Melech. Yet Moshe was part of the Sanhedrin. How could Moshe be part of the Sanhedrin if the king's not allowed to be part of the Sanhedrin? So the pshat I said, I think it is that when Moshe Rabbeinu, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to choose the people for the Sanhedrin, it says that Hashem said, I'm going to take from your spirit and confer it on them. Why did it have to come from Moshe to put on them? Just imbue them. Don't take anything away from Moshe. Imbue them with the spirit that they can be on the Sanhedrin. Why does that take like the divine spirit of Moshe and put it onto them? It's because Moshe wanted to be the arbiter of Torah, of mishpat, of the right thing. His problem was too much. So Hashem said, well, I'm going to give you people that have your perspective, that can help you. So he took it from Moshe and imbued it into the 70 Zakanim. Now what it means is that the 70 Zakanim all have aspects of Moshe's perspective. They all have aspects of Moshe's perspective. So there's no problem with Moshe being there. Is that normally you can't have the Melech, because if the Melech has got his perspective, no one's going to want to argue with what the Melech's perspective is. But since they all have what they have in them, are the difference. A person can have multiple perspectives. You don't just have one perspective. When you take a position, you go check this one, check that one, check. You can have 5 perspectives, and at the end you're comfortable with one over the other. But you can have multiple perspectives. The Sanhedrin reflect Moshe's multiple perspectives. And therefore, it's not considered like they're arguing with the Melech, because they're just reflecting one of the perspectives that Moshe Rabbeinu actually has. It's coming from him, which was imbued within them. That's not a problem with Moshe Rabbeinu being on there, even though the Melech's not allowed to be on there. I think that's what I was a bit on. But the Pshat is like this, is that to be unified, we have to allow for those different perspectives. We have to embrace them. We have to understand. They challenge us to come up with the truth. It makes our perspective more truthful, seeing that we have to compare it to other perspectives. But if everyone has the same perspective, you don't have integrity in what your perspective is. You work in a business, you're the boss, and you just have yes man. It means anything you say yes, yes, yes. You don't want that. You want somebody to stand up and say to you that no, but maybe that's wrong, maybe that's because otherwise, how do I know I'm doing the right thing? You have to have that. That's machlokas. That's a healthy machlokas, having different perspectives. That's healthy. Trying to come up with the truth, coming down with the emes. That's so for miskayim, because those perspectives are all needed forever. The perspectives that are not l'shem shamayim, they're done for other agendas, those aren't the ones that are going to last. And those are the ones consume them themselves. It's korach v'adoso. They consume themselves. Machlokas becomes among themselves. There's no place for that in this world. That's why Korach has the most unbelievable punishment. We don't even have punishment like that. What happens to Korach? There's no place for him in the world. There's no place for him. You don't even get deserved to die in this world. You get taken out of this world. There's no place for that. That's destructive. There's no place for that. Then the world, the whole idea is to create harmony and come together as one. And the coming together as one ultimately is the ultimate reflection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Because if everything comes from one source, then they have to all be able to fit together. If they don't come from one source, then they don't fit together. We can have 5 children, they all have different perspectives, they're all coming from us. So if they get along, they fit together. When they don't get along, say, how does it all come from one place? How did these 2 kids all come from the same person? People say, how's that possible? Right? No, because they have different perspectives and they can get along, you understand how they fit in, they would, okay, different perspectives. Ultimately, the world is a reflection coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Korach doesn't allow that because there's no unity. It's not unity. Equality does not mean unity. In fact, equality is the opposite of unity. Unity means that we're not equal. Doesn't mean we're better. Right? A surgeon is not better than a plumber. He does different things. Right? The surgeon probably needs the plumber more than the plumber needs the surgeon. Right? Anyway, very good. Everyone should have a wonderful summer. And if anybody wants to continue on shiurim, anything during the summer, I'm always available to any special events or anything like that. And I usually give shiurim throughout the summer. If I do anything, I'll email it out and people will know about it.
Thank you.